we're told we should be grateful for exposure. The music industry is not broken. It's working exactly as it was built to. Keep artists engaged, but not empowered. You create the value, and corporations harvest the profits. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Spotify and major DSPs collect everything about your audience. They sell the data to advertisers, train their algorithms, close brand deals, and share it with labels and sponsors. Just not you. Think about that. You don't get paid, you don't get access, you don't get receipts. Access to our fans shouldn't be important. It's our right. This is why we're building Prosper XO, created for artists by artists. And we're not just building technology, we're building movement. A system rooted in transparency, protection, and sustainability for artists everywhere. Build with us at prosperxo.com.
Hey guys, welcome out to the Prosper XO Town Hall. How are you doing? What do you guys think of that video? It's pretty epic. Yeah, give it up for Lauren, one of the founders of Prosper XO. And Joseph back here as well. We got Gabe, Johnny's here somewhere. My name is Zilly. I'm an artist, creative, kind of multi-hyphenated in different production spaces, but also for Prosper XO specifically around the marketing and PR stuff. So welcome out. I think this is like the fourth one we've had. If you've been here before, raise your hand. Of course you have. You're my girlfriend. You've been here. You guys, yep, I see some familiar faces. Well, if you haven't been here before, welcome, and I'm gonna give you kind of a guideline of what you're gonna experience today. And I want to remind you all that this is something that's a two-way conversation, so we do want you to engage, and we'll have moments where you can also pose questions to some of the amazing guest speakers that we have here today, as well at the end have a chance for kind of community dialogue and conversation. Share what you're up to, what you're doing, some of your best practices, some of the hurdles that you're facing as a creative here in the Austin scene. Cool? So we always start this out by giving a short story or a synopsis or a briefing on some topics that are pressing to us as individuals and the music community. So I'm going to share that in a moment, and then Lauren as well is going to move into her short talking piece, and then we'll get right into interviews with our amazing speakers. All right, my coffee's finally kicking in, so I'm going to paint this story for you guys. It's a beautiful morning in Southern California. The energy was calm, sunlight peeking through the window of my Sunset Boulevard hotel room. I began to imagine the warm feeling of a cup of coffee in my hand when I spotted a glow from my phone. Everything was about to change. I reached for my phone, nothing out of the ordinary, and I approved a standard Instagram collaboration post. In a matter of seconds, ding, silent. Ding, ding, silent. Ding, 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 and then silence. Something was happening. The energy in the room was shifting. Eyes on phone, attentive, I opened notifications to an impressive image thumbnail. It's a deep red image, and centered in the image is myself, confident pose, extraordinary jacket. Ding, this is trash. Ding, take this down. Ding, vomiting emoji. In shock, I maneuver my finger to the source and prepare for impact. The longest second of my life now reveals a full photo of myself anchored to bold white letters that read, Austin musicians are using AI to save money and put themselves in front of bigger audiences. A harmless statement on the face of it, except for the undisputed fact that I don't save money using AI, and it has put me on a total of 0 stages. Below the picture, additional captions paint me as Austin's poster child for AI music, and even place me in controversial presence of the largest AI music company, Suno's CEO, who famously stated, musicians don't enjoy making music. The avalanche of negative comments continued, and in a matter of seconds, 77,000 impressions, hundreds of comments, and hundreds of shares had materialized. I was confused, I was uncertain, I was angry, all at once. My thoughts suffocating me until ring, ring, My Instagram collaborator is now calling. KUTX Radio. I had a decision to make. Do I unleash my war-decorated battle rapper, or do I settle for a more reasonable debate? I chose the latter. In our conversation, they did offer to pull down the post, and they apologized for mischaracterizing me. But I had other plans. To their surprise, I said, leave the post up. Because what I began to understand was that this post struck a nerve with local Austin musicians, and it was a teachable moment. Yes, the super ladder of text and vomit emojis was harsh in criticism of AI music, and though I do not agree with all the opinions expressed, all parties can agree that this shared experience was an awakening, an alarm bell, a call to action. So, today, I will ring the bell again. We are under siege by AI in all its forms, from LLMs to agentic AI. No sector of creativity or business is safe. Tomorrow's already here, and the window to act is almost shut. But I will remind you that technology is not inherently evil, but yet to be defined by those that wield it. So what can we do? I strongly urge you to learn as much as you can about these tools. And I ask you to search out all possible use cases for these tools to better determine if this is a model or a tool that we want in our creative community. So today, as we have some questions with some of our guest speakers and learn their viewpoints on AI and learn some of the amazing knowledge that they've gathered through their personal stories, journeys, and challenges, I want you to just keep some of those questions in mind. What is really happening in the AI sector? Is it inherently bad? Is there a way that we can pivot the dialogue, pivot the tool to help all creatives prosper and have a better, successful future? So, thank you guys for being here. And without further ado, let me introduce my favorite person from Prosper XO, Ms. Lauren Bruno.
Oh my gosh. So last minute they switched us to this room and I was like, oh man, I don't know if we're gonna fill up this room, but it's beautiful. It's so incredible to see you all here. Thank you so much for being here. Give it up for Zeely again. Woo! Trailblazer. He's been in music for a really long time. Most of us have. I've been an artist since the 2nd grade. And I just want to say how incredible and inspiring it is that we are here in person and connecting. We are in the age of AI and automation. And I feel like we all, as artists, have a responsibility to continue to preserve culture and humanity and our own personal stories and emotion and spirituality. So being here is just a testament to that path, and it's incredible you're all here. So give yourselves a round of applause, please. Takes a lot to get out here at this time on a Wednesday too. So I want to begin by thanking you for being here tonight. Your presence is powerful. We're living in a time where creativity is under threat, artists are underpaid, community is disconnected, and data is siphoned away by algorithms that don't care about the human spirit. But that's not the end of the story. That's where we come in. And that's why these town halls matter so much. Technology can connect us online, but culture is built in real rooms with real people. These gatherings are where we share knowledge, lift each other up, and start building the prosperity network together. This is where artists and allies meet face to face and begin to imagine and create a more sustainable future for artists everywhere. Thank you for joining us on this journey. I don't want to speak too much longer because we have incredible guests tonight. I'm so honored that both of them agreed to speak tonight. And I'm glad we're doing it in this room because this definitely, they deserve this setup. So
Okay, so our first guest is Yasmin Abdi. I actually, you should introduce her. Oh yeah.
Sorry, give it up for our wonderful intern, Monica from the University of Texas at Austin.
Got it? So Yasmin actually came to a town hall. She had just moved here from Washington, D.C., and she came up to the check-in and she was like, I heard this was a community event for musicians, and I'm looking to build a new vertical for protecting creativity and data. And she talked about her company, noHack, which I'm sure she'll talk a lot about. But what she's accomplished in her life is incredible in terms of protecting data and cybersecurity, but she really wants to focus on also helping creatives. So I'm so excited. I'll let Zili talk more about her and give it up.
Awesome, thank you so much. Thank you guys again for being here. We appreciate it. Let me make sure all mics are go. There we go, awesome. And I do want to ask that, as you're listening to the conversation, make sure to kind of take some footnotes if you have any specific questions. This is an incredible speaker that's about to come up, and I'm sure you guys have a lot of good value that you can offer by asking her some of these cool questions that we all have. They got to be cool. So once again, good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce tonight's speaker, Yasmin Abdi. She's a trailblazing thinker at the intersection of technology, security, and creative innovation. Yasmin is the founder and CEO of noHack, a cybersecurity firm dedicated to helping companies build strong, resilient, and creative tech foundations. Previously, she shaped security and privacy efforts at top tech companies like Snapchat, Meta, and Google. She also co-founded Meemo, an AI-powered social finance app that was acquired by Coinbase. More than her impressive resume, Yasmin is passionate about bridging gaps specifically between the underrepresented voices and the tech world. She mentors startups, advises on security and scaling, and tirelessly advocates for inclusion in the digital space. Tonight, she's going to share her insights on how creators and technologists can work together to build secure, scalable, and boundary-pushing projects. So please join me in welcoming Yasmin Abdi.
Such a great intro. Oh
Thank you. ChatGPT.
Don't we love it?
We love it, we do. So first of all, thank you so much for coming and offering us your time, and we're really excited. Lauren immediately called me when she said that she had you on the books for this, and we both shared in that excitement. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Like Lauren said, I recently moved to Austin, and I think we met recently, maybe, 2 months ago. Both of you guys, honestly, just open arms. The community here is such a welcoming, so I'm just super excited to be here.
Amazing. Yeah, I think we try to be very welcoming in Austin, so much gratitude. We're so happy that you're here. So let's get right into it, because you have like this massive wealth of knowledge. You're like the Mr. Beast of knowledge and tech and innovation and creativity, all at this really cool intersection. And I also really love that you advocate for, people that look like us, right? And also other underrepresented communities. So thank you for that. So I want to start with just some basic kind of Genesis questions. What sparked your interest in cybersecurity?
Gosh, that's such a heavy, loaded question. I think for me, the curiosity is where I would start. Naturally, ever since I was young, I've just always been curious around how things work, how technology works, how cybersecurity works. There's a funny story, like when I was a young child, growing up, my parents would always lock the Wi-Fi at a certain time, like put passwords on the TV, and naturally just thinking like a hacker, thinking about how can I watch TV at 3 a.m. and how can I use the internet at 5 a.m. when I'm not supposed to. I always just try to bypass or brute force through the system. So for me, I didn't know it was cybersecurity when I was 12, 13, 14, hacking into systems. But throughout the years, I eventually learned that that's what I was doing when I was like, okay, like trying out different passwords and like putting my mother's maiden name and putting my cat's name and all these like social engineering tricks. It's kind of like what I was doing naturally growing up, but throughout the years, I kind of realized, oh, that's like cybersecurity. So for me, just always like the natural curiosity around cybersecurity intrigued me. And then in technology as well, it's so interesting and fascinating that you put a few lines of code into a computer and it can build programs and produce products and services for you. Like nowadays, like you can write 3 lines in like ChatGPT and you have like AI assistant that's booking your massages and like scheduling plane flights for you and things like that. So I just think like technology has always been so fascinating for me, and that natural curiosity is just always sparked when I was a child.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, when I was 13, I think I was just like playing Halo or something. So that's awesome. I think that interest for anybody at a developing stage of life, there's multiple ways that can be triggered. And I think that you diving in head first is just a testament to some of the innovations and some of the movement that you had later on in life and that you continue to have. One question that I did want to ask is, was there an early moment when data protection itself felt personal to you and less technical?
Yeah, I think the first moment that it felt personal to me was around seeing the elderly get hacked. And I'm sure you all have like older parents or grandparents, and those phone calls that you see that they answer and they kind of fall victim to being exploited from hackers, that hit home to me. Seeing like grandparents get scammed over thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and then now they're like 50K out of their savings in their retirement, right? So that was like, I personally have to do something. And like, I have a background in like computer science and software engineering and cybersecurity. Went to University of Maryland, go Terps. I'm sure there's no Terps in here, but it's okay.
Are there?
No, it's a very big UT community. It's like a really, but anyways. So I think for me, like that moment where I just saw the elderly community get like victimized and exploited from cybersecurity attacks really hit home for me, and I wanted to do something about it because they're scamming people that are so vulnerable and so victimized, and it just felt so wrong. And from my technical background, but there's also like a people like aspect of cybersecurity and that trust aspect of cybersecurity. So I think like seeing that just happen time and time again is kind of like the personal aspect that I had in cyber.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like there's not much more invasiveness than being hacked, whether that's identity theft or someone hacking into your social accounts, right? I think it's harder now to understand the line of scammers at a base level to a more advanced level because of some of the advancement of AI and some of this like voice cloaking technology. And I've heard a lot of like nightmare scenarios around some of these scams. And it's not just affecting the elderly, it's to the point of realism that anybody could fall for it. Do you have any personal tips on just protecting ourselves from everyday scams that might be utilizing some of those more advanced techniques?
So I think the first thing that comes to my mind is like with scams today, there's always a sense of urgency that scammers use, like you must call me back now, or like click this now, or send me this now. So like if you ever feel like you're getting pressured into something that you have to do in the moment or in the next hour, 30 minutes, like clock that as a red sign. The sense of urgency is just like a really, really, really big thing because they need that one-time password that will expire in 30 minutes or 5 minutes or an hour or whatever it is. So I would always just like tend to be cautious of that. Just stay vigilant. I mean, AI is getting so much better and it's so advanced. Sometimes I even am like, oh, is this email legit? Like they're asking me to do this, I don't know, podcast panel, whatever. And I'm like, oh, like, is this legit? Like, should I click on the link? But 9 times out of 10, it's probably gonna be something that's manipulated again. So I always say like education is the first line of defense. So I would just always strive to tell everyone to just be super educated on like the premise of if you get an email that you don't know and it's not from someone that you recognize, like, and it's asking you to do something, just stay vigilant.
That's great advice. Thank you. I haven't been scammed yet. I try to stay vigilant. And I believe there are really good like Reddit forums and Discord communities that kind of keep you up to date on what's happening in the scammer climate. So let's pivot a little bit. You've worked with like the big boys, like landmark companies, iconic brands, anything from Meta to Snapchat, and you didn't just work as an employee, you had a big influence on steering and impacting what that company was doing. So the question is, what prompted you to leave big tech and get into your own business and founding your own company?
Yeah, great question. So was at Google, was at Meta, was at Snapchat for like 6 years. And outside of that, I also started a few startups. But for me, being that I worked at these billion-dollar companies, built technologies that serve billions of users globally, I saw the power and I had the like resources and the technologies that serve companies at a large scale, but there was also another pocket of people that weren't being served. The underrepresented communities, the small businesses, the startups that are just trying to get their foot into the door, that are building fast and breaking things, that are just trying to build their products and, you know, hold a chance in this technological ecosystem that's ever changing. So for me, like, I saw the gap between the security needs for small businesses and startups, and I really just wanted to help them. One of my lifelong passions is just serving the community. So for me, these underrepresented communities, being the small businesses and startups, really hit home for me. And I saw the strength that these billion-dollar companies had from the programs that they had with cybersecurity that lacked in that like underrepresented underdogs, as I say. So yeah, I think you know, there's that, and then there's also like I'm an instantiable learner. I've been there for Snap at 6 years, the other places for a few years. So I felt like I wasn't learning as much as I could be, and just wanted to change and keep learning more. So after a certain point, I would always just +1 to change after a few years. Like, you can learn as much as you can at a company, but when you change and, you know, you start fresh somewhere else is really where you start to learn more. So yeah, was at that point where I wasn't feeling like I was learning as much at Snap and just wanted to start something new.
Yeah, I agree with you on that point. I think that right at the edge of, you know, being uncomfortable, that's where growth happens, and that's where learning happens. And I've had to make my girlfriend watch endless YouTube videos about, I don't know, the Mesozoic era and robots and all kinds of.
Shout out to your girlfriend.
Shout out, and shout out to YouTube for always having something interesting, educational for me. So right now, the climate is always changing, literally weekly. We see advancements on some of the models around specifically music, like Suno AI just recently released their sessions update on their platform, which now allows you to essentially architect like a DAW, digital workstation, produce, create, use your original stuff, prompt stuff to come in. So these things are continually looking to advance and find a new edge. They're not only competing with themselves, but they're competing for users, right? To help continue to fund the development of their companies, for good or bad. But my question for you, around the users of these ecosystems, the creatives, what are some of the most common ways that creators, musicians, anybody putting out digital content is exploited? And how can we safeguard from that?
Gosh, great question. I think that to start, a lot of times, and even outside of the creator economy, we don't read the terms of conditions, right? And that's a pain point.
Yeah.
In these terms of conditions, there's lines and lines and lines of like how your data will be used, how your content will be used. And obviously creators, we're using these third-party applications. You want to share on Google Drive or Box, or you want to upload onto CapCut to edit your videos. but you don't actually know what's happening under the hood.
Right.
These companies are using your data, using your content to refine and train their AI models. And if you have an unreleased song, if you have a piece of like art that you see being published because you're using it on these third-party applications
Right.
that you signed off on and approved because of the terms of conditions, you're agreeing that your unreleased stuff can be used in the public. So for me, I think that personally, we need to make it easier for artists to understand when they are using these third-party applications, what's actually happening under the hood. And also like giving them like an easy digestible way to understand. I agree that my content that I'm uploading here can be used for X, Y, and Z thing.
Right.
Yeah, I think CapCut just released that like in their new policy update. Like, we will be using all your data for this.
Yeah.
So I think so to answer your question, better language around the terms of conditions, and then also artists understanding that the tools that they're using that are free, Google Drive, Box, CapCut, et cetera, are actually using your data to fine-tune their models, but also to better like produce data to their audience as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's well said, and that's a great point about CapCut and some of these other platforms that have been developing, right? Like, I've seen a lot of updates on terms and conditions, and I'm wondering how legal that is to kind of shift or pull the rug from underneath people that have already agreed to these past terms and conditions. And I think terms and conditions have always just been hugely, they boggle the mind.
A bunch of jargon.
Yeah, which is done on purpose. Like, it's clearly designed this way. But I wonder, and maybe you know, if there's some type of AI tool that helps kind of break down and give us a cliff notes of terms and conditions, or if there's something that's kind of a continual Rolodex that's always updating and giving us a summary on some of these platforms and how they're changing and evolving. But I don't want to get stuck there unless you have
I think I was gonna say, like, if there isn't something that's already built, I might build it and make $1 billion from it.
All right, let's do it. Just give me 5%. Just give me 5%. So I have a few more questions for you, and then we're going to get to some questions from the audience. Let's see. Joseph, how are we on time over there? We're good? Yeah. Great. Thank you, guys. Okay, so this question is kind of broad, but I would just love to hear your vision on it. And I do have one more question I want to add to it, but let's start with this. What does true data transparency and ownership look like for creators in the mind of Yas?
I think maybe just piggybacking off of the convo we were just having, it really is around who is using your data, how is it being used, and like how are they monetizing over it? So I think like those three things like can kind of like paint the picture around true ownership and just like transparency on ownership. Because think about it, right? Like, if you have an unreleased song and you have this like fire beat, and then you hear it somewhere later, but you uploaded it on this third-party platform that under the hood is using it to train AI models, you signed off on approving that, but now you're just questioning it. But you don't understand also because the jargon in the terms of condition is just like way too complex for creators. Like,
Right.
We don't understand what this 100-page policy even means. I think fixing that problem is really gonna help the ownership for creators. So I think just wrapping that up, it's like, where is my data being used and stored? How are people monetizing over it? And how is it being trained on these AI models?
Right. And I think that's a really good point that I want to dig a little bit deeper into in terms of data or data. How do you like to say it? Data.
Data.
Which one's right? Data?
Guys, is it data or data?
All right, cool. Data.
Was I wrong?
I think you said data. I don't know.
I don't know what
They
I
just
said anymore.
interchange for me. So the question I have, and it's really just to open up a cleaner viewpoint for people in terms of their perspective of the word data and what it actually means. Because from what I've learned, there are so many different touch points where data is gathered about our everyday patterns. And the value is in the patterns. The value is understanding, I know at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night, you will be home, your thermostat will be set to this, and you might have a spike in power because you're cooking using your oven. Or I might know that on a Wednesday, you're in South Austin, and you're there for 3 hours at a time, and then you return to your home, et cetera. All of these little digital fingerprints and breadcrumbs are left and picked up by a multitude of devices, not just our phone, not just our digital devices, but also our thermostats, our TV, your lighting systems, anything that connects to the web. Can you kind of paint a more clear picture for myself and people here that maybe we don't have a full understanding of what is actually being captured?
So when I think about the question of data, I think it goes back to just like the individual person. And like when I think about an individual, what are your, I'm sure everyone's heard of PII, right? But like what is your personal identifiable indicators of who you are as a person? So your name, your date of birth, your gender, your race, etc. And I think even outside of, so like your example around like the day that you painted, you're driving here, you're going here, you're spending hours here, your thermostat, you're cooking, etc. Like all those are fine data points, but I think even like if you go online and it's like, we found information on the dark web, they're not asking about where you went today. They're asking about who you are as a person. And I think that is like the core value of like data, right? Because that's the information that's being sold to companies. They're trying to build predictions and models based off of like races and genders and,
Right.
and age groups and et cetera. So I think when I really think about the word data, like obviously depending, it's very circumstantial, but like data in its like fine-tuned like definition, it's really about who you are as a person and how you identify, age, gender, location, income, all those things. Like that's like the true definition of data in my perspective. I might be
Right.
wrong, but
Is
that's what I
there a form of like psychological profiling? Meaning if I'm a brand and I have
absolutely
X product, like I want to lean into
I could
it.
spend another 3 hours talking about that. So when
Yeah.
we were at Snapchat,
Yeah. I forget
kidding.
Snapchat, yes.
but yeah, we would say like, hey, we want to target 20-year-old, for lack of better words, Caucasian woman in Los Angeles to sell this specific energy drink.
Right.
So that's exactly like who we would want to target. And then like we would filter over all of the 700 million users that we have. Sorry, 700 million, not billion, because there's not even that many people in the world. So we would filter over that, and then we would push ads specifically for those groups of people. So of course, there's like definitely like symbols and just like, I wouldn't say like just bubbles that you can kind of like graph people into, but yeah, absolutely.
At Snapchat, Meta, or Google, do you listen to us through our phones?
No, yes, maybe. Can't talk about that.
Perfect. You
See,
said a
the
lot.
first one I said was no, it's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
That's
of
what you
course.
should go with.
That's the one we'll keep in the clip. Okay, so last question, and then we'll get to some questions from the audience. With AI and rapid platform shifts, what gives you hope for a safer creator ecosystem? And if that's something you're building yourself, can you share more about it?
So the thing that I really like about this generation is the creators, the artists, the musicians really seem like they care. And that gives me hope. So to answer your question, I'm very hopeful that artists are actually taking the time to learn about what does it mean to protect myself? What does it mean to protect the new song that I'm about to release, the art piece that I'm about to drop? They're very hopeful on protecting themselves. Like, do I add a watermark onto this image because that means that the data will be embedded and no one will copyright it, et cetera? So I'm just getting this new notion of like care and hope from a lot of artists, and that's what is making me really excited. And I think the second thing is like alliances. So cybersecurity companies really partnering with creatives to help them understand that cybersecurity isn't this complex 100-page policy document, jargon that you should be scared of. It's something that's actually going to help you. So really partnering with companies, shout out to noHack, we're helping if anyone wants help.
All right.
Uh,
Yep.
But I was gonna say, yeah, no, just generally just like cybersecurity companies and like alliances helping creatives make it easy to understand, easy to digest, and not just a bunch of jargon. Because creatives at the end of the day, they're just working on building their creative pieces, whether that's music, art, etc.
Right.
They're not worried about cybersecurity, so companies making it better for them and easier for them to understand. So 2 things, the hope that I see, because I see a lot more times that they are curious to learn about how can I protect myself, and then companies being very forefront around like, here's how we can help you, here's the language that makes it easy for you to understand, and here's the playbook and the quick checklist, 5 to 10 things that you can do to protect yourself. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I love that. I think like CrowdStrike and Pusha T collab, something like that.
Yeah. I like that.
So thank you so much again for being here and for your time. And I'm sure some of these guys have some questions for you. If you do, please raise your hand. Wave to Gabe right here. He will say hello and come to you with the microphone so we can get you on the system. What's that?
Hello, everyone. Hi, Yasmin. Hello.
What's up?
I also am new to Austin, about 2 months, so pretty
Where'd
new
you
as well.
move from?
New York City.
I'm from DC, so East Coast.
Awesome. Well, my name is Miguel. I am a artist manager for in my own company that I am now starting to realize how much data is important for the artist to have. So what would you say is, it's kind of a weird question because as much as we need the data and we need the platforms that collect the data, such as Spotify or Apple, or at least, let me rewind, we need the platforms, right, that we think we need for exposure. What would be the alternative? I know there's other platforms out there. I know Vocana is one that we've heard of. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but they're an independent streaming service that's starting to come up, that it's going to be more for artists, friendly for artists. But with that said, and I do have an analytical background, so I look at the CAC or the customer, acquisition cost, and I'm thinking, how do you or another company bring those artists over? Because a lot of it is understanding the jargon, understanding that you are giving away your data, but then what's the alternative if not? When we need the platform sometimes as well. So it's kind of a hard question because as much as the artists don't want to share the data, sometimes that's the platform that they hope to get a playlisting on, or they hope they get some exposure on Apple Music and whatnot. So it's kind of a hard situation for, at least in my situation, with independent artists that I work with.
Yeah, I first of all, thank you for sharing your question and thoughts. I think to your point, there is a lot of shift happening on some of the key platforms that artists use, such as Spotify. We've all heard the crazy things that have been happening there. And there's been a lot of shift, and there's been a lot of protests against Spotify, right? Larger artists leaving, users opting to not use Spotify. And so because of that, you are getting a spotlight on some of these other platforms. Now, the issue is, how do I get this vast user base to leave this very behavioral, traditional app they typically open up to adopt a new app, to download a new app or a new behavior? I think there's gonna be a huge challenge with that. However, it's not impossible. This has been done time and time again. I will say, I think creatives also need to shift their perspective on what value is and what is actually driving value. I would argue that right now, music is at its most devalued point. However, the creator or the artist is maybe at their most valuable without being backed by a major machine or record label. So I think you also have to shift your framework on what is the most valuable asset I have to offer. And if it is data, and if it is audience, then maybe you don't have as much concern or investment in and where the music is placed. And maybe it's worth retraining a smaller audience of maybe 1,000 devoted fans versus trying to get playlisted to 50,000 people, right? That's my thought. Yes.
Yeah. So I would take everything plus one. I think from just a security perspective for me, imagine that one of these third parties get hacked, right? So I would always say that like hackers don't necessarily care about your data, they care about your momentum. And for me, you 1000% should back up your data outside of the cloud, outside of these Google Drives and Box and Dropbox and everything that's online, and maybe to like some off cloud storage platform. Reason being is like, if they get hacked, you don't want to start over from the ground up, from 0 day. Like you should already have your business fully functioning and running. And I just think, yeah, like putting your 100%, like everything you worked on into one of these third party platforms and then they just get hacked is,
Right.
or dismantled or, you know, something like that. It's just really scary. So always back up your data outside of the cloud and outside of these third parties like Spotify or Google or whatever.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that just speaks to the point of ownership, of an artist really owning their community, owning the narrative around their community and the touch points, the ability to communicate at 100% with their audience versus whatever one of these third-party apps or systems might allow instead. Question? Johnny, what's up?
Hey.
Give it up for Johnny, guys.
Yeah.
Prosper XO right here. This guy is a machine.
Thanks. I have a question. I wonder, like, as like a defensive maneuver against these security people or whoever's taking my data, if like a way to counter it is that you have to change or evolve like so much as a person from one day to the next day that all the data they got from you, even if it was everything from yesterday, would be like irrelevant to who I've become like today.
I think you just change your identity every day. What do you
You
think?
could do that.
I mean, I'm sure there's an app for that. I will tell you one.
So you could race ahead of them, kind of. Like if you're gonna
Yeah.
develop as an artist, like keep being creative so fast that you're like, well, you got yesterday's stuff.
I
got
think you
new
should think
stuff
about how to
today.
build that.
Yeah. I was just thinking that. Yeah.
He could build it. There's two things that triggered in my mind. Number one, I do know that there is a way for you to completely reset algorithms on your personal accounts, so you can kind of day zero it, to use your words, and clear all of that history and all of those points. Now, whether that's completely cleared or not, I don't know, but I have heard of some people doing this. In addition to that, a different way that I've tried to cross over or shake off the algorithm, specifically on Amazon, that I read, and it might be working, is if there's an object or a product I want, I'll put it in my basket. I won't touch it for like weeks, just let it sit there, and it'll start pricing it down. Very small points, but it'll start pricing it down, and then you purchase it. So it's almost this like economic responsive supply and demand AI that's essentially leveraging like your interest to purchase it or not. So any other questions? Way over here? Yeah, let's Gabe over there. Johnny's amazing, by the way, guys. He's one of the architects behind Prosper XO, and he blows my mind every time I have deep conversations with him.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I was just at school and somebody told me to come to this, so I just like rushed here from school and just kind of joined in. So,
Welcome.
I just also moved to Austin in January to study music production at ACC. I'm a DJ and electronic music producer. I just released my first track yesterday, which is super exciting.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, so cybersecurity and AI is not something I'm like super familiar with. I barely even read my lease agreements. So like, my question is like, I mean, I'm kind of like starting out, so I'm not super worried about someone stealing my sick beats, but one day I am. But mainly what I'm using right now is Google Drive to like share and collaborate with other artists and to send over for mixing and mastering. And I don't know, but like, you know, with iPhone or with like Google Drive or anything like that, I just like, they randomly update and it's like, you have to agree, I guess. I don't know. I don't read it. I'm just like, yeah, I got to use my phone. Agree. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know where I'm going with this question, but you founded noHack, which is, I guess, something that I can pay for somebody to just deal with this kind of stuff for me, because this just sounds really not fun. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, honestly, thank you for coming, because you just coming from school is amazing as a start and just moving to Austin. So shout out to you for this. Also, congrats on your track just being released
Thank
yesterday.
you.
Can we give her a
Yay.
like? Let's.
It's on SoundCloud. My DJ name's Redneck Kitty.
Yeah.
It's a tech house song. It's a remix to Crime Mob. Rock your hips, then wave and sip. You know.
We might have to have
So
you
if you're
play
into
it at
that,
the end.
Huh?
I said we might have to have you play this at the end.
Oh my God, I would die. It's pretty hard. You know, I'm just trying to remix like the crunk hip hop that I listened to when I was 15 and probably blew out my ears. But you know, anyways, sorry.
No, to answer your question, and I'm not gonna just take too much on it, but the way that artists and engineers, producers collaborate on music and beats, as you're familiar, is through sharing these links, right? But there's so much data and sensitivity doing that. I think on Google Drive, it's like share with the collaborator, then share like externally, and anyone can link it. And there's only two options. And I think most times than not, like you pick the second option, so it's just easier for the engineer, or the producer, or the manager to get it, and that can fall into the hands of anybody, and they can steal your beats, your unreleased tracks, etc. So I would say like Google Drive is not the most secure way, just because it gives so much access to anyone if they get the hands on it. There's a lot of other platforms that I think you have to do like multi-layer authentication, multi-factor authentication, et cetera, to get that beat, song, whatever it is. So I would just say like, talk to these amazing artists in here that have been doing it for decades, that probably have more secure ways that they send their music, because he knows. But I was gonna say, yeah, like I don't think Google Drive is the best way, just because like I've seen like unreleased tracks even on SoundCloud that have been released. So and to your point, noHack definitely works with kind of just helping consult on protection, best practices. We started working with artists recently, so let's definitely connect after this, and I can.
Yeah, when you said the thing about the cloud and putting it somewhere, I was like, I need somebody to do that for me, please.
No, we'll talk.
Okay.
Absolutely, great question.
Thank you so much.
How are we on time, guys? I want to see if we can get one more question. Okay, perfect.
Can I ask a clarifying question about that last one? There is a difference, I think, between a free account, basically, on Google Drive and a paid business account. Like, you have a lot more protection, right?
Yeah, so I have a paid account, but I think it just still gives like a few options to share. Like it's not granular to the point where, I don't want to get too security focused, but there's a method called role-based access control where, designed on your specific role at the company or the organization, you'll get specific layers of access. When you are sharing docs or drives or pieces of media, you don't have that granularity. So like on Google Drive, when you're sharing, it's like 2 to 3 options. You either share within your organization or outside of your organization or with a specific person. But when you're working in the music industry, you want to share with other artists or producers or engineers or managers, etc. Like you tend to often more not than you tend to give the most layer of access because you just don't want that burden of like, except I don't have it yet, et cetera, et cetera. So even in the paid version that I've had, and I work with all my clients that have it, it's just they give that layer of access that is more broad, so they don't have to worry about that friction point, which then puts them vulnerable.
Thank you.
And let's see, we have another question here. Also, a free game for Redneck Kitty. I think role-based access control could be your next tech house song. Just make sure you use an 808 slide.
Yes.
Adjust the portamento, and you get the glide on it.
That's a great title.
Hey, I'm the intern. My name is Monica. Okay, I don't know if this is totally like off the cuff to ask, but like I'm just gonna ask anyways. So I have this new fear now as of like 3 days ago. that I was informed of by a person in real life and also TikTok, where it's like AI, like people can AI generate like a photo of you, but like an inappropriate photo of you, and like send that to your boss and like ruin your career forever. And my question is like, does that tie into what you're talking about like the apps and like that kind of data? Because I guess my face is data, but also like I've been on Instagram for like 6 years, like I'm cooked. I'm cooked for sure. And I have this just like I'm scared that I'm next. And I actually cannot have that. And I'm like, so is it like a weirdo behind a computer that's doing this, or is it the apps? That's like my question.
Yeah, I don't think it would. That's crazy. Hold on.
Girl, I know. Girl, I know.
I just
Girl,
brought
I
it
know.
up.
Girl, I know.
But to answer your question, I don't think the apps necessarily would do that to you. I think maybe it would be a person that maybe is targeting you. But to be completely honest, like all of us in this room are vulnerable to the same exact thing you're talking about. If you've ever posted a selfie online, you're vulnerable to this. So like, don't think it's just you. I don't want to wish that people in the world are bad in doing this, but it's unfortunate because it can happen. Like it literally can happen.
Right.
And it can happen at any moment. I would just say like, I don't know. I don't have anything great to say. Like, I just think that it's like,
Well,
it's unfortunate.
it-
Because you hear about it also like in all these reports that are coming out with like these teenagers in the school systems,
Right.
and they're sending these AI generated nudity and like all
Right.
this stuff. And it's like unfortunate, but I mean,
I-
if your face is online, it's just easy to,
Yeah, to manipulate it.
Yeah.
I think it's different in different parts of the world. There are places where this is completely unacceptable to the point that it's illegal, and you can take legal action. But it's also kind of a retraining of the population, right? Like slowly people are starting to understand and have their cup full to the brim of AI slop, for example. And we start recognizing some of the telltale signs of things that are maybe AI generated or organic. So there's no direct answer to it, but you're not cooked yet.
you're not cooked.
So
Yet.
hang on.
Literally yet.
But also I would say be very mindful about what you are putting on the internet, and just understand like there's bad actors in the world. There's also great people, and we're all kind of at the mercy of them all when we put ourselves online.
Yeah.
But I don't think you should operate from any place of fear with anything that you're doing.
Yeah, and the thing that I would just add to that is like all the negativity and just bad that comes with AI. I feel like the positivity and the way that it's improving the world that we live in is just so much more far and greater and
Yeah.
just positive that is coming with it. So even though this is an unfortunate and deep fakes and the cloning of IP and all the stuff that's happening that it can do, like look at the advancements that it has brought to us, and
Yeah.
you're not cooked.
Yeah. And just to support more of what you're sharing, what we see on social media, what we see in the media is equivalent to rage bait or clickbait. So these are the headlining statements that will draw our attention in and create more engagement. That's the role of all of these algorithms, right? But what's far underrepresented is how AI is used in like the medical field, how it's used in science, how it's used in space, and it creates some amazing things that we are impacted by in really beautiful ways. Those things just don't get the headline because we're competing against so much attention,
False advertising.
grabbing, false advertising, rage bait, clickbait, etc. So there's a huge upside to AI, and again, to the point that I mentioned earlier, I think the technology is not inherently evil. It really is just how it is wielded. Are there maybe some bad actors who are in initial coding at OpenAI? I don't know. Maybe. No. Yes. No. I don't know. But I do think that people using the technology, people activating it for good causes and training it in positive, creative ways is going to have ultimately a more positive outcome. So don't let your future get written for you just by writing these technologies off and not utilizing them. So we are at our 1 minute mark. Is there anything else, Yaz, that you would like to sum up and leave with the audience? Maybe also your information where they can find noHack and
Yeah. Well, I would just say, kind of just plussing to everything that you mentioned, the technological advances that AI is bringing, we're at the like 5% mark. There is so much to come. I'm super excited about it. And if you aren't already learning about it, not even just like the prompts, right? Like, I think we've even moved past like, hey, chat, like rewrite this email for me. Like that's
Right.
2023.
Right.
I think now it's like, hey, chat, like you're my personal assistant, and how can you go on Amazon and order this for me, or can you book a flight for me? I think the agentic models that AI and its capability has today is so exciting, and if you aren't learning about that specifically, you're behind. So I would just like push everyone to learn about the models and really learn how like it could benefit your day-to-day life in terms of the tasks and how it can be an assistant for you. Not just rewrite my email, like
Absolutely.
find this, I don't know, restaurant for me or whatever it is. Like it has so much more powerful capabilities. So use it to the next levels that it has. So that's on AI. In terms of security, guys, like there is so much insecurity. If you don't have multi-factor authentication on your phone, if you are still clicking on these links in your emails, if I see someone click on a link today that they don't know, I'm really gonna be upset. Like 90% of breaches and attacks still happen from phishing emails. So please, I beg you, don't click on links. If you need cybersecurity consulting or anything in terms of security, data privacy, protection, please contact me. I'm new in Austin. My company is called noHack. I'm on socials, pretty easy to find. It's noHack. My name is Yasmin Abdi. You can find me on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on pretty much anything. I'm happy to chat after as well. So yeah, I would just say contact me for anything cyber. And then also lastly, shout out to Prosper XO, guys. Like this has been such an amazing panel. I'm really excited for the next guest speaker. And yeah, that's all I had to say.
Thank you. A round of applause, please, for Yaz. Thank you so much. All right. So we're going to bring up our second guest speaker, but first we'll bring up Lauren to introduce her. Lauren?
Wow, give it up for Yasmin one more time. Such an honor to have her. And talking about some pretty important stuff. You know, one of the big inspirations for Prosper XO and starting Prosper XO 5.5 months ago had a lot to do with data ownership. You know, when you dig deeper into platforms like Spotify and you really educate yourself about what is happening with your data, it's mind-blowing. And I think something that really just put it over the edge for me was finding out, wow, they are literally using this data to incur more revenue, billions and billions of dollars. And then on top of that, they're in partnership with major labels. A statistic from Spotify specifically is only the top 1% of artists will ever see any money from that platform. Yet, recorded music revenue, 84% comes from streaming. So the math isn't mathing, but it is important to read the terms of use and really understand that if you are gonna use these platforms, you know what you're giving up. And in terms of a way that you can actively protect yourself right now, connect directly with your fans. You know, connect directly with your community. I think that is our power and our authenticity, who we are. I think leaning in on that is so important as well. I hope with Yasmin and with, did Jake leave? Is Jake gone? Maybe he went to the bathroom. There's an incredible lawyer here who was a guest speaker as well. I would love to put a top 10 things to protect yourself as an artist and release that through Prosper. So that will be coming soon. Our next guest, I'm really excited about, Nagavalli. She, first of all, an incredible musician. Yeah, you wanna come up here? So well, do you want to introduce yourself? You can tell everybody who you are better than I can.
Sure. Nagavalli. I originally moved to Austin after grad school. I grew up in Mumbai. I've been here for over 20 years. I'm dating myself. So this is very much home. And in the last couple of years, especially, I've taken on some formal roles in music advocacy. I chaired the Music Commission. This is my third year doing that. I represent the mayor, honorable mayor on the Arts Commission. And I'm involved with a couple of music nonprofits. I chair the board of a nonprofit called EQ Austin and work with several others.
And you're a musician yourself, too.
Absolutely, first and foremost.
Incredible voice you have. Oh my gosh. Does
Maybe I
everybody
should just sing?
Huh? Oh yeah, why don't we just sing through this interview? That'd be awesome. Do we all know what the Music Commission is? Does everybody in here know what the Austin Music Commission is? No. Okay. All right. Not surprised. That's why I'm so glad you're here. Can you tell everybody more about what the purpose of the Austin Music Commission is?
Yeah, so essentially the purpose is to provide recommendations to City Council on policy, on how best to use government resources, civic resources to the benefit of the music ecosystem, musicians, and the music industry. It is an advisory body. It works essentially through recommendations, and so I always say it works through also our ability to build goodwill, to engage community, to be able to have influence to where you have the councils here and the staffs here towards making policy.
Yeah, it's really, really powerful. When I first moved here, someone from the Statesman invited me to attend one of the missions. So they have one of the meetings. They have meetings once a month, right? Is it the first Monday?
First Monday of every month, usually at City Hall, starts at 6:30, and anybody from public can attend. If somebody wants to speak, they can also sign up to speak through public communications. And then, of course, if somebody wants to come present on a specific agenda, you can also sign up it's a little over a week at least, but I would suggest, 2-3 weeks in advance. And as long as, you request something to be added and you get a second from another commissioner, you can get on the agenda as well. So I always welcome the community to come and engage.
Yeah, so 10 years ago, I was invited by someone on the Statesman, and she was like, you've got to get here. There's no artists attending these meetings. And so that was a while ago, and, I was so inspired and invited a bunch of artists, and around that time is when the conversation about hotel tax. So we'll get to talking about the grants. I want to talk more about you and your personal journey, but the Austin Music Commission is very impactful because at that time they were starting conversation around, there's hotel tax, which comes from tourism. We should ignite some grants to go directly to artists. And a bunch of people were really propelling that vision, and you were a part of that coming to fruition and continuing to see that being utilized and forming that. So it's just a really impactful thing. Everybody should look into it. We'll have more info at the end. I did want to share with personal journey beginnings because I think it's important. Can you share about your early journey into music and what inspired you to pursue music?
Thank you, first of all, for having me here, and it's good to see everybody. I'm very glad also that Yasmin covered a lot of the tech stuff, so I don't have to talk about it. Thank you, Zili and Yasmin. I grew up in India, in Mumbai. I grew up learning Indian classical music, and so that's where it started. Right from the time maybe I was 6 or 7 is when I started learning classical back in India. Coming to the US for grad school, I initially landed here I did not complete this, but I landed here for a PhD in physics. And I stayed in that department for all of 1 year. And in my heart, I always wanted to do music. I had no idea how that would take shape in this country for me, but I knew it. So there was no way I was going to spend 24/7 in a lab. So I bailed and got a quick master's degree in information systems and then came to Austin for a job in the tech industry. And I stayed in the industry for a good 2 decades. I'm a recent bailout, or bailee, I guess. I don't know what the exact word is. And so all along, coming here to Austin, I actually landed here and took the job in Austin just because I'd heard that this was a music town. And didn't know how to really even start navigating the industry here. The live music scene and the idea of playing in a club was fairly foreign to me. And so the first couple of years, I was sitting in with an artist, luckily for me, who was also of Indian origin, Oliver Rajamani. So every couple of months, I would go sit in with him at Cactus Cafe or some really cool spots like Ruta Maya, improvise on a couple of songs, go back to my job. And over the years, I kind of started writing my own music, this kind of blend of Western pop rock and trance with Indian overtones that I write. And I had, some people really encouraged me to continue that. And so eventually, I think it was less than a decade, but several years in, I found, some folks to play with me, and I started playing with my solo project. But definitely a long learning curve for me in terms of navigating, finding any opportunities. So that was the practical challenges here. And just quickly back home, people were freaked out that I was singing in a club and surrounded with guys. So that took a while to overcome. So I was sensitive enough to kind of really take that to heart and struggle with it, while also, music was so deeply ingrained. It's something that, one cannot live without, and I couldn't live without it. So there was no way I was not going to do it. So it was this push-pull thing for several years, actually, before, I could just probably move on a little more peacefully with it. But yeah.
So how long, you were project manager at Dell for how long again?
I was in the industry for 2 decades. I've been in different fields. I started as a data warehousing engineer. For the first couple of years, I led some software testing teams afterwards, did some project management at Dell. At Visa, where also I was there for another decade, I initially joined in to manage some software testing teams, and then led some programming teams. In the last couple of years, I was basically running a team of program and project managers before I left.
Wow. So then what was your calling? Because I know when we met the first time, you had just made the decision to leave technology and go full force. Was there a turning point when you felt like you wanted to use your voice beyond performance for advocacy and community? What led you to that decision? Because that's a big decision.
Yeah. I think getting into advocacy kind of more formally and more full on, and leaving technology, I think those were pretty independent decisions, to be honest. The technology stuff was, okay, I've been there, I've done this long enough. You do what you have to do in life to keep things going, to support yourself, to build yourself to wherever you want to be. But it was definitely something that was on my mind for a while, and so I was just ready to make that leap. The advocacy space, I've been in the music community for a long time. I've worked with a lot of artists. Very naturally, my inclination has always been to collaborate with a lot of diverse artists. So I've worked with artists across many different genres, and so, and in the back, so obviously, you know, I was involved in conversations and whatnot. And it was during the pandemic when somebody put forth in front of me the opportunity to join the Music Commission. That was, I mean, I had about half a day to respond back to say whether I wanted to apply or not, or, you know, or even, you know, kind of pursue it, right? So it was definitely also in the thick of, at least what I was aware of, some pretty tense conversations at the Music Commission and within the industry around diversity and inclusion, around, you know, who gets, that's about around the same time when we also were launching the Live Music Fund, right? For the first time in
And those are the
within
grants.
commercial
The Live Music
space.
Fund are the grants from
The grants, yes, for
Medicharla.
commercial music, right? There have been grants from hot taxes from a few decades, but this was the first time it was getting launched for specifically for the music industry. All of that, and you know, I always loved performing. I was very into collaborating with a lot of artists over the years. But I definitely had not put myself out in that way from an advocacy perspective publicly, right? So it, and you know, there have been moments in time, you know, maybe just by nature and also kind of things being new when I came in for a while, I've been excruciatingly shy, you know, in public. So it was a big leap for me to take that on, but fundamentally, it was in front of me, and the decision was to, I always felt like I wanted to do more for the community that I love, and here was this opportunity. So the decision was either to take that on and try it. It's a voluntary position, at least commit to it for a year or something and see how I like it or not, if I have the capacity to do it, more than even liking it or not, or not complain again that I didn't get a chance to contribute in any other way. And so that was a very quick decision once I kind of reached that frame of reference. And so I decided to take a leap. And then I think a couple of months down the line, EQ Austin asked if I would join their board. And it's a nonprofit that essentially is focused on genre diversity within the commercial music industry. So that happened, and then when Mayor Watson was elected the first time, I got appointed on the Arts Commission as his representative. So I think I'm like the first dual appointment. So it was essentially, yes, I think I have some ideas. Yes, I think I can understand a situation and problem solve, or contribute in a productive way. Do I have the courage to do that? And I just decided at that moment that, yes, I will do it. And over a time, I think you also kind of build muscle just by perhaps walking through situations that maybe initially you're not the most comfortable with.
Yeah, Z talked about that too. It's very, very powerful, and thank you for leaping into that advocacy. You mentioned EQ Austin, which is so fascinating. You've been telling me about these artist hubs that you are now in partnership with the city. They've now placed a recording studio at the MAC, which is the Mexican American Cultural Center. And do you want to talk more just briefly about the plan of placing those cultural hubs and recording studios all around the city?
Surely, yeah. So, I mean, just quickly going back to the Live Music Fund, right? When that came to fruition, I just want to give a quick background, if I may.
Oh, yeah, go
take
ahead.
a little detour there, right? I mean, that has been in conversation for several years, and it was in 2014-15 when Mayor Adler was elected and Gavin Garcia was the chair of the Music Commission. They came up with this strategy of engaging the arts and the Music Commission in this discussion about sharing the hot grants. So a lot of the hot taxes, when we see these spikes in how much hot taxes get collected in the city, a lot of that is coming from the music industry, entities like South by Southwest, the 2 or 3 weeks that they're here through ACL. So we see a spike. So a lot of contribution to the hot taxes is also coming from the music industry. And so once that conversation was kicked off, there was a first joint Arts and Music Commission meeting ever at that point to discuss this further. At some point, there was later, in 2016, I believe, a visitor impact task force was created, and that had about 18 members. It was chaired by James Russell, Mary Ben Ramsey, and from music, you had Gavin Garcia, and there was also Kathleen Whittington, who was, I think at that time with South by, if I remember it right. And so collectively, with Mayor Adler's influence, with Mr. Gavin Garcia as chair of the Music Commission, with Kathleen Whittington, with Cookie Ruiz from Ballet Austin, Representative Lulu Flores, these were the folks in the room that initially, got this thing going and basically brought this live music fund to fruition. And since then, and I think 2019, at some point in, I think December, towards the end of it, is when it kind of became formalized. And from that point on, a lot of other community members have worked on it in various ways and providing inputs into how they can be further shaped. And I say all of this because also I want to make the point that this idea of inclusion or equity, diversity within these funds, right? Whether we call it woke or DEI or equality, whatever we want to call it, but this idea of supporting genre diversity and supporting music from the diverse communities that live in Austin, that was already built into the fundamental idea of bringing these grants into fruition, right? So, and from there, I want to make the point that there are genres such as hip hop and Latin music genres that have not traditionally historically found space in Austin at your live music venues and whatnot. So even if I take my own personal experience, though I try not to take too much from my personal
It's important,
experience.
though. It's important. You're at the ground level.
It is, but at the commission, it is important to me, and even within advocacy, to not inform my judgment entirely from my own experience, because there I think I have to wear a hat where I'm looking at the entire ecosystem, getting a pretty broad perspective on being able to provide recommendations on various topics. But to that point, it became important that artists from these various communities, from whichever community, but just the broad, diverse diaspora in Austin, have a way to enter the industry. And that's where the idea of having music hubs or creative hubs at these PARD centers, which are cultural centers, which are centers that are owned by the city government and run by the city government, come into play. Because these could become a place where a young artist could walk in, find community, find guidance, maybe the ability to record a demo. And so, and that kind of becomes a resource center, becomes a portal of entry for that young person to get into the industry, essentially. So, and we provided an assessment to the government 2 years back on creating these kind of centers, maybe with even some center of competency, like the Mac Hub could be music-centric. We could have film at the Carver. We could have a tech-centric presence at the ARC. So the first center that actually, where this has come to fruition, there are physical walls now for a recording studio, is at the Mac. And that's going to open in March, and we are continuing to advocate. These things take years and years with government.
Yes.
We are continuing to advocate for the Carver and then, also the ARC to build similar hubs.
Incredible. Can we just give a round of applause for that? What an incredible program being built. I'm so excited. So Austin calls itself the live music capital of the world, but many artists struggle, as you know. to survive here. From your perspective, and I guess we have two perspectives, because I think it would be valuable to talk about your perspective as a musician yourself, but also, you know, from your perspective, from this view of the commission and the place you're at. What do you think is most important to address for musicians to thrive? I know it's kind of a
That's,
loaded question.
It is a loaded question, and then that could be like a group discussion for a very long time.
Maybe we should
At
have that
the
with the city,
commission.
have a panel. That'd be awesome at City Hall. I don't know, could be a good idea.
At the commission, what comes up a lot is, of course, affordability and cost of living issues. Artist pay comes into picture. There are local venues, independent venues especially, that are struggling. The insurance costs have gone up heavily. There is monopoly in that market, so the insurance costs have shot up. Property taxes are high. And I also think there is changing consumer behavior, also even in terms of how they consume music in the first place, but also maybe even in alcohol consumption, for example, which is a lot of the venues depend on. Alcohol sales, right? So there are kind of a myriad of things that are, kind of causing financial constraints within the industry for both musicians as well as, of course, other ecosystem stakeholders like the venues. Individually as an artist, I see that previous models of revenue have just been completely disrupted, right? So we can't, sell CDs. I think touring is also much more expensive now, and sometimes that doesn't seem viable. So radio play is not easy. Commercial radio play is almost impossible. So there is, and then other things that you all have already covered, and actually what you all are working on is how the revenue from streaming and other sources just seems so abysmal when it comes down to the artists themselves. Individually, and I will give perspective here, so some of you may or may not like this, but individually I think you see different people reacting differently to the situation at an artist level, right? If we don't adapt to the changes that are happening quickly enough, then there is very clearly this danger, and we see it happening already, of falling behind, basically, of not being able to utilize what's available and what's evolving. And if we don't want to evolve into that, then there is, you fall behind. There are those artists that, and this has been touched upon earlier, where maybe the model is not trying to reach millions of people anymore, but to have a dedicated fan base who's willing to support with you and go with you anywhere you go. Now that's quite amazing to build, and that's quite lucky to have that if somebody already has that, right? So there's that. There are artists that have become pretty good at content building and cracked whatever the new systems are evolving into, are able to thrive, in the new ecosystem. And there are folks like Prosper, right? And you and your team that sees the unfairness that exists in certain aspects of the evolving ecosystem and says we want to build something different, right? And to each their own, right? And I have to have incredible respect for everybody, and I have incredible respect for folks who want to do something that is going to be more equitable. And it's kind of this idea of conscious capitalism, really. Right? So it's not about companies not making profit or anything. Do we have, conscious capitalism anymore or not, basically? And I have respect for all of that. I also want to, and I also think that this whole idea of
how an artist is supposed to do their art, I don't think there is any one way that defines or should define how a musician or artist expresses or produces art or puts their art out. Because who makes the rules, here, essentially. So also this idea that, you are a solid musician or an artist only if you're doing it full time, again, that is, for me, is not quantifiable. Because the only way I can feel or connect with something that an artist is doing is just based on the output. Like when it comes to things like grants and stuff, the only thing you can base, if you want to base it like on qualifications or accomplishments, is what is the artist putting out? Are they playing shows, streaming, seeing what's going on? Did they get press and whatnot, right? But beyond that, for me, that is not quantifiable, whether you're doing this as a full-time. I have a humongous amount of respect for folks who can survive and thrive on it full-time. I also have a huge amount of respect for folks who are working really hard to take care of their families, to take care of their kids, their partners, their spouses, and still keeping up with the art. And there are a lot of artists on the ground that are doing that day in and day out. So I don't want anybody to feel bad about, how they are defined as an artist just because they have a job or they don't have a job. I really don't care, because you could really take 3 minutes to write a hit song. Somebody could be writing 200 songs that doesn't connect with anybody. So I think an artist by nature is a very free agent, and we all should have the freedom to pursue it in ways that we want to pursue it. And by all means, while all these problems are getting solved or being addressed, and you're either taking part in solving it or you don't have the bandwidth to solve it, but you want to keep your art going, have that part-time job, whatever it takes. And that's what I fundamentally also think should be respected and very deeply appreciated in this day and age.
Yeah, that's a really strong perspective. I think also let's dive right deep into the grants, because they're about to release, and I think you are working behind the scene to provide sustainability to artists, and I think that's really important to talk about. So let's talk more about the grants, and then maybe we could open it up to questions. But let's talk more about the grants, because I think those are a big deal. And they did take a long time. When I started going to the Music Commission in 2010 or 11, they were just talking about them. So the fact that they just got implemented about 4 years ago showed. Oh, sorry. I think I turned it off. Hello? Hello? Sorry. Sorry. It shows how much work is put in at a level in government. It takes time, and a lot of people put in a lot of effort to make sure those were implemented and utilized. So, and they're about to be released. So yeah, you want to tell everybody more about how they could apply, or what they need to know, and when they're gonna be released, when the applications are gonna be released?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how much they're for, too, which is a big deal.
Yeah. Let me kind of take a step back and just also share that the city recently, just a couple of months back, created a dedicated department for arts, culture, music, and entertainment. It's called Austin ACME. And I think that really enables the city to put, for the first time really, I think, a dedicated focus through a dedicated office on arts and music. And so I think that was a huge step in the right direction to do that here within City of Austin. The Live Music Fund grants are going to be rolled out for the third year. This is the third round of applications. And of course, every time based on, what the criteria was established as, what the outcomes were, they have been tweaked as we move along. And this time, the new department did a creative reset, and as part of which, the Music Commission, and I did have the privilege really to chair that working group as well, we provided recommendations on how we would like to move forward with these grants. And one of the main things was we wanted to emphasize artist accomplishments. And you would think that would be a fundamental thing, but we really wanted that to be one of the prominent criterias on what is an artist doing, within their careers. What have they accomplished? Are they getting press? Are they playing a festival? Are they getting, radio coverage? Are they on streaming? Do they have sync licensing going on? That is one of the criteria that we did strongly bring into the criteria. Again, we are a recommendation body. The decisions are made by staff. So that came in. The other important aspect within the criteria is economic impact, local economic impact. Are you hiring local artists? Are you hiring local businesses? Are you renting local spaces or playing in local spaces? Because these are hard grants, right? They have to have a line to tourism and how they are promoting tourism. So that becomes an important aspect where, how are you marketing your initiatives, your music, or your productions to increase Austin's brand or to contribute to Austin's brand as a live music capital, and so on. And then there is artist development, which is also a bucket where there are things like how are you contributing to the community in terms of mentoring and maybe supporting a non-profit benefit concert and whatnot, because these are essentially municipal grants, so there is also a real community aspect built into it. So these grants are for this year, getting rolled out on October 14th. October 14th is when the intake form opens up, right? Which is essentially, you create your profile, and it will advise you on, you have access to these couple of different grants. There's the Live Music Fund, there is also the Elevate grant, which musicians can apply to, and then there is also Nexus that musicians are able to apply to. What cannot happen is there can't be double dipping between the arts and the music grants by law. So if you can only take one of those grants, if you end up getting two of them.
How much are they for?
Yes, so this year we have two buckets of those grants. One is a $5,000 grant, which has much, less stringent criteria in order to be able to, maybe less number of questions to be able to apply or qualify. And those grants are for 1 year. Then we have $20,000 grants that last for 2 years, which will, of course, have a more, I think, obviously have much more competitive criteria. So October 14th is the intake form that opens. October 21st is the application opening date. The intake form closes on December 4th, and then the application closes on December 11th. And in between, there is support that's available through the City of Austin, through this new department, through Long Center, and there are also some organizations that are just available as community navigators, even informally, to be able to assist artists in through these applications or provide advice around it. If I may, I since we are talking about government, I also do want to quickly touch on, we touched on music hubs, we touched on this new department, we touched on the grants. And
can I jump
yes,
in before this?
absolutely.
I want you to continue. I just wanted to rewind. So she was talking about a working group. So the city, they have availability for artists to be involved and have say into the development of grants. So they form working groups and they invite, and they released a bunch of surveys. And so your input and the input of artists impacted what the grants were going to include. And
Absolutely.
on top of the working groups, you attending the music commission meetings, they're an opportunity for you to share your voice as well. And they really do take it into account, and it really does matter. Your voice does matter, and that is powerful that we do have that space and that direct connection. And I just wanted to clarify those terms. And ACME is a new office that connects both the arts and the music commission. Yeah?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a dedicated one department in the city. Now it's an office, I believe, but I think it'll be a department soon if it's not already. That, basically brings arts, culture, music, and entertainment under the same fold within the city.
Which is powerful.
Basically,
Yeah.
yes. And the creative reset that they did basically took inputs from the community very broadly, looked at the inputs that have been collected in the past and also the recommendations from the Music Commission. One of the things I do want to quickly point out is this might be a little bit of a boast, but one thing I'm very proud of is we extended the uses of these grants to recording and video along with live music performances. And that, I think, is very, very impactful.
That's
And-
huge.
Yes, and one of the reasons is that artists go from the recording studio, some of them go directly to touring or online streaming, some of them will go play local venues, but the ability to use the grants to what fits best for their specific careers, that's one thing I'm very proud of on how that is codified now and that artists have those broad uses available with these funds.
That's incredible. Wow, I'm just so honored to be speaking with you and having you here. You have done so much work and so much work for the BIPOC community as well, and just so much work for the local music community. Just thank you so much. I have one last question, and then I want to open it up. And then we're going to go into the open town hall. So if anybody has anything they want to say or share, or any important information, it's your time to shine. My last question is just, what inspires you? What inspires you to continue to create as a musician, and what inspires you to continue to build more sustainable pathways for artists and support artists?
I think music is, personally to me, it is a spiritual endeavor. It is, end of the day, a way to find connection at a very human level, but also to find connection to something that's beyond something of a higher consciousness. And, obviously getting a little older has brought me more and more into that space, but somewhere there's a knowing, because that's what keeps you going, despite of whatever practical challenges that one might run into in actually making a career out of it. So it's such an integral part of me, and it's something that I cannot do without, so there's no choice there. And again, like I said, I think it is at least, I don't know how many, I don't think it's often that I can touch something higher, but at least the aspiration is there, and it is the only thing that I know in this life that allows me at least to get a glimpse of whatever that higher consciousness is. And I think that's, I don't know if I need a bigger reason to keep going. So the advocacy work, like I said, I've had to, as far as, having a public kind of a face and a public-facing function to it, I've had to build a muscle for it, definitely. And sometimes I've had to take stances that I felt an integrity with, but might have not been the most popular in the room. But I think what makes it all worth it is when you see something click, and like this idea of broad uses that I had support from other community members that I pushed for, despite some opposition to it, but knowing how worthwhile it is for the community, for artists, and actually seeing it come to fruition and get it kind of codified, really, right? And broadly accepted as legit uses of the fund, it makes it all so worth it when something like that happens. So I think that's enough to keep me going on that front. There's also this idea of dharma, and I'm not able to perhaps apply it in every challenge that I see in the world. I don't think any one of us can but it is this idea of doing just what's needed. And sometimes when I try to deeply reason, why am I in this situation where, sometimes I get to do wonderful things, but sometimes it causes a lot of stress as well, but then this idea of dharma comes in, where it is just this idea that you do what is needed, and you do it just cause of that, And I try to keep that in mind as much as I can.
That's really powerful. Well, I want to.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, please give a round of applause. I want to open it up to all of you. If you have any questions.
Hi, Wally. So good to see you. You come here as an immigrant, right? So, and you're volunteering. I've seen you work hours and hours for years now. So what is it that compels you to do this? This is charitable work. I think most people don't realize it, the amount of work that goes in the background. You want to talk about, first thing is coming here as an immigrant. Second thing is putting in hours and hours of work in voluntary service for a community that you're newly getting integrated into and shaping this reality that we all come together in this cosmopolitan city. Thank you.
Thank you. Part of it, I think you come from the same cultural background, so when I speak of Dharma, I think you can connect to that. Part of it, definitely, I'm informed by my own struggle in trying to find space within the music industry, and especially when you are trying to do something that's a little different, and that's, that's your thing. And you don't fit squarely into an ecosystem or what the broadly supported genres are here. It's definitely challenging. So I've kind of gone through my own challenges, and at one point I remember Eliza Gilkison said to me, and in a very nice way, she said, "You're not going to fit. You are not going to fit." And she, when I said that to her, I repeated that to her, she was a little concerned that if it impacted me negatively, but I was like, no, because that helped me give up the struggle in trying to fit, and it really helped me give that up in trying to fit and trying to wonder why I can get an opportunity here, why those guys are not calling me and all of that. But broadly, it's beyond me once again, right? All that informs me to an extent on understanding some of the challenges in this space. But I never came in here thinking that I wanted to do music only within a certain community. I wanted to connect. And so for me, stepping out of, the South Asian community and trying to connect with, my city was very important. And as I went through it, somewhere between, life is not so compartmentalized, right? I have built up experience in the tech world, in the leadership world there. I've built up experience in working as a musician and with a lot of diverse artists over the years. And then there was this moment of time where it felt like I could utilize all of that to support the community that I so respect and love. And so it kind of, I naturally just went into that space when the opportunity arose. I think it is important that there are more folks from the diverse communities that come and engage in the creative ecosystem. So that is another initiative, an effort that is constantly on my mind and I'm working towards, is how do we engage this diverse diaspora that exists in Austin to come participate in the music economy, because there is so much opportunity there to build win-win situations that have not been tapped into. It's possible that part of that, we will also have to create spaces that these diverse communities feel welcome into, because not everybody might be going to a club or a live music venue as it's designed today and partaking in music. So how do we cultivate spaces in the city that actually encourages the diverse diaspora to come and engage in the music economy. And so I think that's also very important. And I feel like I can play a small role in pushing for something like that as well. And I love the idea of also supporting young artists from these different communities to come and play in the quote-unquote mainstream, right? So there's just a myriad of reasons why being here, and I'm sure I walk into spaces where folks are thinking, where did she come from? So, and what's the angle? And there is no angle other than wanting to do my part for what I can for the community, and to also promote through opportunity and diversity in the commercial music industry here. Thank you.
Okay, we have about 5 more minutes for a few more questions, and then we're gonna open up 2 more minutes. Okay, 2 more questions. Does anybody have any more questions?
Hey, Darian Rashad. It's,
David, an amazing rapper, by the way.
Thank you.
Woo!
As someone that has, known you for a while, as a frequent collaborator on the music side, and like just seeing your incredible ethic there, like just being able to come in and like knock it out. Like I've seen you like hoarse or sick, and it's beautiful vocals automatically, and then also work with you on the corporate side and technology, during our time at Visa, and just kind of seeing like the change that you were able to make there. Like, just curious, like, how do you find that balance in terms of like doing all the things that you do, like that aren't necessarily tied to creating the art, but like still put it together, like finding that motivation to deliver the things that you're able to deliver?
It's a great question.
Well, I would be lying if I tell you I have it together all the time, because it surely, sometimes you feel like you're just catching up on things, and so, but I do think that things are not as compartmentalized. I feel like it's always an artist, the artist in me that's always walked into every space that I've been in, whether it's corporate America or here. Maybe it made me a little different in that world. And perhaps, there's perspective from there that I have learned and built that I am able to bring into, the creative spaces. So I think you learn from everything that you do. For a while, I was struggling with the idea of, I gotta do this job and this and that. And at some point, I became really grateful for what I have. And that has really helped me, navigate through, doing this, doing that, doing, the advocacy work. It's just pure gratitude for what I had. And yeah, and I think you learn from everything, and you take the best of it to the other spaces you're operating in.
And you were very intentional though. You had prepared to make that shift of what you've told me. You were very intentional, and you focused, and you made a safe space for you to take that leap, right? And I think on one end, it's like, I feel like sustainability is always important in terms of making that choice, and the choice that you made, you were able to do that because you built a space where you had worked so hard and focused so hard in that intention, and you made that possible. I feel like that's related to any art too. As artists, it's like the more we can focus and really build up our intention of what we want and who we are and how we're going to achieve that, like that really matters. I was really inspired that you really you were like, I'm gonna do this, and this is how I'm gonna do it. And you're that way with advocacy too. And I think that's powerful. We have 1 more minute.
Yeah, time management, I think, something that I feel like I can still definitely improve a lot on, but because I think Can't we all? We got 1 minute laughing there. So, I mean, I think that's really important, and I think being able to bucket things and kind of tackling them, there's a lot that can be done if one has good time management skills, to be very honest. I didn't plan on it well enough. It was planned over a year, 2-year period. For the younger folks who are doing other jobs and want to, fully dedicate themselves to a creative space and don't think they are making, they can make the dollars there as yet, but they want to take the leap of faith. I will always say, don't, underestimate the power of compounding. Focus on it, save and then get out. I learned all of that way too late. I still have ways to go. I'm very optimistic, but really, if that's the route you have to take, take the route, but plan for it and make some sacrifices for it initially.
Where can we find you? Where can we listen to your music? Where can people find out more about the grants?
The grants, I think if you don't even have to go to any particular site, if you just Google Austin Live Music Fund, you will find the information for it. Nagavalli Music is me on Instagram. That's Nagavalli Music on Instagram. I am looking to post, or let me actually just commit here to post some basic information about the grants on Instagram and on my Facebook page, so you can pivot from there and get more information from the city websites. So I'll do that by the end of this week. So you all can access that. And really, I just want to quickly call out, I'm right now beyond the grants, and when we talk about sustainability, all of that, I'm very keen on building export programs for musicians from Austin. I really believe that industry, including South by, C3, Live Nation, Penske coming in, the AEG just made their entrance into Austin on the east side. I think industry thriving here is, and having an environment where industry is able to thrive here is important, because that can provide some opportunities on scale. And as we get these international brands into town, my interest is in seeing how we can leverage that to boost our creative economy, and how to use that to leverage that to create opportunities for artists too. So export using some of these channels, I think, is of a lot of interest to me. The music hubs, getting the grants to a good place, I think collectively will do us a lot of good.
Wow. Well, such an honor. Give a round of applause, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
We will be sharing in our next newsletter, which comes out end of the month, about the grants and resources. There is an organization called the Museum of Human Achievement, who are also providing literal resources where they're going to help you write the grants, and you can ask questions. And I think the city provides some of those type of resources as well.
I think almost daily office hours.
Yeah.
At the Long Center, they're also the city Acme will also
Yeah.
have some office hours, and some workshops as well. So
Yeah, so we'll share on socials as well. Of course, you could connect directly with Nagavalli, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
for having
so
me,
much.
and best wishes, and for everything that you all are doing. Kudos to you and your team. Yeah.
Oh, you're one of our advisors, so we'll be talking soon.
Yes.
But thank you. Yeah, such an honor to have you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Yay! Hold on, Ryan. Don't forget your mic. Okay, real quick, I just wanted to talk about our resource of the month. Just really quick. Our resource of the month. So we have a resource of the month we release on our newsletter as well. And this month is HOME, which is housing opportunities for musicians and entertainers. They're incredible. They help pay for housing for musicians that are getting older. They've been covering Lavelle White's housing payment for over 15 years. They're an incredible organization. Check them out. And then our feature of the month is PR PROs, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC. This is an opportunity to get paid for live performances, get your music copyrighted. Publishing is so important, copyright is so important, ownership of your music is so important, but check out these PROs because they can help you get paid, and you can actually get paid for live performances too through PROs. So check them out, BMI Live, and BMI actually has an office here. But yeah, thank you guys so much. We're gonna open it up to close with a town hall, so if anybody wants to share anything about themselves or what's going on with them, and then yeah, networking until about 8:30 or so.
Yes, and our speakers are still here as well. So if you want to meet and talk one-on-one with Yaz, you can find her here. So both of our speakers are here. If you have any questions for them, if anybody wants to make any announcement, you have a show coming up. You have production services. You have a new studio that you just built. We want you to make your voice heard. This is all community. It's open. So we'll just pass the mic around.
Hi, everyone. First off, I want to shout out the Prosper team. Every time I come to a town hall, it's super inspiring. So I love what y'all are doing. But Benny Kwagwu, I'm a vocalist, band leader in town. And I'm excited because me and my co-founder, we just built a software platform that has really redefined what it takes for a band or an artist or agency to plan a gig. And we actually are officially launching on October 22nd. We have a launch party at Antone's. We actually are partnered with the Prosper team. Yeah, and we're hosting a panel that's really going to really continue the conversation from today about AI and the importance of the human element in AI and entertainment, music, and media. And then we have some local artists that are going to end the night with some performances. So we'd love for y'all to check it out. But check us out. We're called Soundcheck Live on all social media platforms. And yeah, that's what I have going on. Who's next?
Hello, my name is Dax Norman. I'm going to be busking on the backside of the train bridge on Barton Springs Road in South Lamar when ACL comes out on Friday for sure. But this time, I did it last week. This time I'm gonna have my projector with animation on the backside of the train bridge, and I'm gonna blast some electronic music too. And I'll have trading cards and cassette tapes, but mostly just be rocking and rolling. Who needs this?
Cool.
Gracias.
What's up, y'all? I'm Mike Hidalgo, and play drums in a band called Obsolete Machines. But this month on the 25th, I'm going to be playing a Radiohead Portishead tribute with this guy.
Woo!
And we'll be doing some Portishead covers over at Empire. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know if I can't believe it's been 25 years since Kid A came out. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, if y'all are free, come on out. It should be a good time. This man is amazing on the synths. It'll take you on a journey. But yeah, definitely come on out to that if you can. Radiohead, Portishead, Empire 1025.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, okay. Hi. Okay. I'm Rachel again. Redneck Kitty DJ name is like how you can follow me on Instagram. It's like redneck.kitty, but I'm saying this because I'm launching this thing called the Kittyverse Collective at ACC, which is the school that I'm going to. They're trying to connect all of the different arts and medias, so digital media, artists, animators, etc. And so we get a lot of resources at the school, being able to use equipment and stuff like that. So I wanted to start a little bit of a collective. My main focus is I love to direct music videos. I've directed, wrote, produced my own music video, and I think it's pretty fire. So if you're an artist, or if you're a videographer, or an editor, or anything in this space, and you're looking for a place to be in the collective, it's not paid, but you could add it to your portfolio and be a part of something. And yeah, so if that's something you're interested in, just go to my Instagram, click the link tree, and that's how we can connect.
I wanted to say something quickly. So, one, can we just quickly give it up to the Prosper XO team for putting this all together? It's been such an amazing night, so shout out to everyone that's part of the team. But secondly, October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, so I hate to be biased, but it's my favorite month, after my birthday month. But if anyone in here is interested in cybersecurity, if anyone's looking to transition, if anyone has questions, and if anyone's an artist that has like questions on how to protect my IP, please reach out to me. We do free consultations. I really like near and dear to my heart to help underserved communities, and I think up and coming artists are part of that underserved community. So again, like protecting data, protecting your IP is super near and dear to me. So if there's any artists in here that are looking to understand more about what it is to protect yourself online in this digital ecosystem, please reach out to me. And then if there's anyone that's interested in breaking into cyber and like the engineering and the policy space, also reach out to me. So yeah, just happy Cybersecurity Awareness Month.
Awesome. Any other announcements?
Hi, I'm Sarah. This is Antonio, and we just started a creative studio called Plates in town. So if anybody needs any creative work, branding, website, campaign, definitely gonna hit you up, Kitty, because we also do art direction for photo shoots and things like that, video shoots. So yeah, just wanted to, and then we have a launch party coming up on the 23rd of this month at Community Gardens, so come through.
That place is nice.
We love that
I love
place. So yeah, and you can follow us on Plates Creative on Instagram.
Awesome, thank you. Anybody else over here, over there? Cool.
Rylan wants to
Ryan,
share.
what do you got to say, Ryan?
Okay, what do you want to say?
My name's Ryland, and I do lemonade stands, and when I go up on them, help.
I can't understand. Take slow and yeah. Okay.
My name is Ryland, and I do lemonade stands, and when I'm a teenager or 20, whatever, I don't care. I want to help my mom build Prosper, and I already am anyway, so.
Yeah, there you go. Round of applause.
Thank you,
So,
Ryan.
thank you guys for joining us here today. We do this every month, so make sure you're in tune. Lauren, do you want to point them maybe to where they can find us resource-wise on Instagram or the website, email signups, etc.?
Yeah, Joseph has done, where's Joseph? Where did he go? Oh, he's back here. Joseph, who is our Chief of Experience, Head of Brand and UX with Courtney Ryan, and the whole team has built an incredible website, so far an incredible resource. So our website, prosperxo.com. You could also get in touch with any of us directly. Our emails are just our name at prosperxo.com. So Lauren at prosperxo, Azealy, Joseph, yeah, and connect with us here. These happen the second Wednesday of every month. We have 2 guest speakers every month. This was our 5th one, I think. I
Okay.
thought it was 4th too, but I think that we started in May.
5th, yeah.
Yeah, but we're gonna continue these. This is so important. It's so important to connect in person and provide resource and education. I always say education and listening is what leads to systematic reform. And so this is the power we have, connecting and protecting. Ooh, I like that. Connecting.
I like that too.
protecting.
Flyer
Oh,
in your hand.
and-
Yes, sound check.
Sound check. Yeah, this I'm so excited about. It is an official Austin Tech Week panel happening at Antone's, an iconic venue. Ben got in touch and we spoke about the intention of this panel, and I think it's bringing a lot of different voices in the room and talking about the ethics of AI, also artist sustainability and creativity, and it's also celebrating technology. So super excited about this, October 22nd at Antone's. But yeah, prosperxo.com, you could reach out to us all directly.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. Feel free to hang out and network amongst yourselves. This is the first time we've run on time. Yeah. And,
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you to Capital Factory
Oh, yes.
for
Thank you so
housing
much.
us and giving us a beautiful venue to work in today. And yeah. this
Absolutely.
is-
One last thing, the icebreakers, I don't know who filled them out. I forgot to mention those questions, why do you love music and what's your ride or die album and band? Use those to talk, share. It's so important to remember why we do this. And I just wanted to say that. It's just, it's so beautiful, music and connecting and art. It's just, we're so lucky and so grateful. So feel free to share those icebreakers.